I'm Rosie Bell with IMN, and I'm joined by Mahesh Shetty, CEO of ILE Homes, alongside Dan Brady, Vice President of Acquisitions. Welcome both. How are you doing?
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Glad to be here.
Brilliant. Okay, well, there's a few things we're going to talk about today, but maybe to start with, has the change in the macroeconomic environment altered your perspective on the SFR sector?
I think it might be useful for us to step back before we step forward. I think if you think back to how this industry was created back in the global recession, that allowed people to come in. And at the time, the proposition was a value proposition. You're buying homes at a discount. It made a lot of sense to buy it. And then we crested, somewhere in the 2013, 2014, a lot of the people, weaker players left off and the stronger players are left behind. And I think what you're seeing right now for the last year is essentially a deja vu experience, is essentially having, the stronger players get stronger and the weaker ones who are riding the momentum, they're going to fall away. It's a real remarkable test of the resiliency of the business, being able to, when you think about it long term, we are overall optimistic about where single family rentals are going to be in the next 10 years. And we feel that we are in the very early stages of a large consolidation and aggregation in the industry. So, overall, we think it appears right now that we are in a very slow environment, but I think it's only going to get better. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I also think that the institutional investors, Rosie, are making a difference. We're moving to a higher quality product. We're moving to a more recent vintage product. And so we're really providing higher quality assets than we were, say, 10 years ago.
Interesting. Okay, so in terms of technology, then maybe, would you say ILE Homes is more of a technology company or more of a real estate company?
Oh, gosh. When we first started, Mahesh kind of laid out the vision, and it was centered around technology. And I asked Mahesh at that point in time, I said, Mahesh, are we going to be a technology company doing real estate, or are we going to be a real estate company doing technology? And after discussion, the answer is yes.
It's true. And, I think when you think about technology, I think every company in the space is a technology company, right? It's hard for us to separate technology from what we do in a day-to-day basis. I mean, I think IMN does a great job of using technology for all their conferences. But I think the more important aspect when you look at it is not about the technology per se, but how do you execute on it? I think one of the things that we are building a platform which is from lead generation all the way to exit. And I think everything in between is enabled by our technology platform. And by automating the process, by synergizing it, we are making it much more effective. And what that does is that technology is an enabler for us to execute and create better operating results. And that's a differentiator between us and everybody else. And I think one of the key element of technology is not technology per se, because I personally think that technology is a commodity, right? At some point of time, everybody is selling the same thing. Then it's not about the technology, it's about how you use it and how you execute it, which becomes the distinction between you and somebody else. And I think that's where our experience, our talent, our ability to create a difference is making allowing us to be different from the other companies in the space. What do you think, Dan?
I 100% agree. And the technology that has progressed from 10 years ago to today is nowhere where it's going to be 10 years from now. And it's going to be exciting to see where the industry is in 10 years.
Interesting. Well, going on from what you've said, if you were to paint a picture of the SFR industry in the next 10 years, what might that look like?
That's a great question. It really, well, I think, as Mahesh said earlier, we had to step back from where we were and look forward to where we're going to be. In the past, we're stuck with a legacy. And that legacy has been bad operators that have taken advantage of tenants and have done things that weren't in the best interest, didn't fix leaky faucets, didn't do the repairs that are necessary. And we have built a reputation in the marketplace that is it brings into question the integrity of what we do. And politicians have taken that step and moved it forward. And I think one of the biggest challenges we're going to have in the next 10 years is overcoming that legacy to, again, have everyone understand that we're putting out a high quality asset and one that we're proud of and one that our tenant is proud to live in.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything to add, Mahesh?
I think, and this is what's happening in our particular business is analogous to what happened to the multifamily space. If you think about 30 years ago, the apartment space in our country was primarily, walk-ups. You have 10, 12, 20 units. You collected rent on a weekly basis. And then we transitioned into the institutional space coming in and institutionalizing the product because quality became important. You have to be customer-centric in order to take care of the customer. So we went from a landlord-centric model to a customer-centric model, which is where we are today. And I think that we're still in a very, very early stages. I mean, our business today, compared to, say, the multifamily business, where over 60% of the ownership is institutional, in the single-family rental space, it's less than 3%. So what you're going to see is a massive consolidation and aggregation take place, which is going to be better for our customers because when you're a large institution, you cannot take the risk of kind of creating ill will amongst your customers, because you want them to be happy, you want them to be taken care of, and you would do anything you can to do the right thing, right? And this, it goes to any industry as we get larger, as we get more institutional. Our focus is more about the customer experience, and by the way, that customer experience lends to better profitability. So I think over the next 10 years, you're going to do a couple of things. One is technology is going to be more and more prevalent than it is today, and then the aggregation and consolidation is going to continue. And our biggest challenge is, as Dan pointed out, is trying to remedy the perception that we have in the business about the big bad landlords. That perception, we have the obligation collectively as thought leaders and as industry leaders to solve the problem, not just in the media, in the community, by doing what we say we're going to do. I think that is what's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, Mahesh, you've been coming to IMN's event since you founded the company. What first compelled you to come, and why do you keep returning?
I mean, IMN is clearly a place where this content, because a lot of people come here to advance their knowledge, to learn more from, other attendees, to listen to leaders who are, either on panels or, wherever the forum is. And it's forgive me, the interpersonal connections. When you meet somebody, just, have a couple of minutes conversation, it gives you a different perspective on the business. And then finally, the relationships, right? You're building relationships all the time. And in relationships, despite us having video conference, all the technology that we have, there's nothing like a handshake. Nothing like meeting a person eye to eye and saying, hey, what can you do? So next time when you talk to them or when you meet them, etc., there's a different level of communication than from just being purely virtual, if you will.
Yeah. We're not competitors. There's no competitors here. We're all rowing the boat in the same direction, and that's to provide good quality housing to our residents.
Well, we're so happy to have you both here. I wish you a successful remaining conference, and thanks so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.